violence or no other kind of violence.
Get away! I could be at work, at school, in my car, I can still get shot by the police, but I can get shot anywhere.
So it is what it is.
What's good, YouTube? It's the Black Gen Z Mindset. Make sure you go ahead and like, comment, share, subscribe. And let's get into the video.
Now to a troubling night of gun violence across the city. Right now, the NYPD is investigating multiple shootings, including one in the Bronx that took the life of a 16-year-old girl, and another in Brooklyn that left a man in critical condition.
So we got a 16-year-old girl killed by these super gremlins on demon time. Then another man in the Bronx. Safe to say New York is on fire. Mayor Eric Adams promised that he was going to do something about the violence in New York City. Those promises, especially in the first 100 days, now we're leaking into first 150 days. The promises are pretty much coming up empty.
CBS 2's Christina Fan joins us live from Crown Heights. Good morning, Christina.
Good morning, Cindy. In the last 24 hours, there have been at least 4 shootings in the city, resulting in at least 7 people shot, including 2 men in the lobby of this building, as well as 3 students walking home from school. It was another restless night for families across the 5 boroughs. Gunfire erupted just before midnight on 3rd Avenue in the Bronx, grazing an 18-year-old in the elbow. About an hour later, on 133rd Street and Adam Clayton Powell Boulevard, a 27-year-old was shot in the leg. Then around 2 a.m. in Crown Heights, 2 men were shot in the lobby of a building. The shootings happened less than 12 hours.
All this happening within 12 hours. New York City is on demon time.
After Police Commissioner Keyshawn Sewell denounced the murder of 16-year-old Angellyh Yambo, killed while walking home from school by the corner of East 156th Street and St. Anne's Avenue in the Melrose section of the Bronx. 2 other teens were also struck.
It appears that the brazen criminals opened fire during a dispute. What I can say with confidence is that NYPD detectives will work tirelessly to bring those responsible for this.
Doesn't it seem like everywhere we go, when there's a sister police chief, the crime is just outrageous? The crime is just outrageous.
To justice.
Police say the suspect and someone on the opposite corner were gesturing back and forth when the suspect pulled out a gun and started firing. Sources tell us the 3 teen victims don't appear to be the intended targets. This witness did not want to be identified.
I saw the individual coming down the hill. There was 3 individuals in the corner right there. When I turned on my bike and I just left, all I heard was 6 gunshots. I saw people running back and forth.
The girl was laying asleep over here and they tried to give her CPR, but it's crazy.
Investigators say the girl who died was shot in the chest. Another 16-year-old girl was shot in the leg, and a 17-year-old boy was shot in the buttocks.
It's not even the streets. It's teenagers growing. It's just going out of hand, you know.
These are super teen gremlins. I've already warned you guys about the super teen gremlins. I've told you guys about the identifiers of demon time. So what are you going to do about it?
You can't be safe nowhere.
And so far, police have not released suspect information in any of these shootings, and no arrests have been made. We are live from Crown Heights, Brooklyn. Christina Fan, CBS 2 News.
Christina, thank you.
We're going to turn to developing news in the Bronx. 3 students shot outside a school. One of them died, and this morning the search for the shooter continues. Weekend today, New York's Miles Miller, live at the 40th Precinct in the Mott Haven section of the Bronx. Now, Miles, one of those teens shot is a close relative of yours, we should note. How's he doing this morning?
That's right. My 17-year-old cousin is doing way better than he was doing yesterday. This morning,
So this is how close the violence from these super gremlins on demon time gets. To where we got a news reporter whose cousin was involved in this shooting on the receiving end, okay? This stuff is touching everybody. Everybody.
Covering with family here in the Bronx. What we know this morning, something I just learned from police sources in this case, is that they are moving closer to identifying those suspects who opened fire when kids were getting out of school. Let's go ahead and show you what we are talking about here. It was on the area of St. Anne's Avenue, right outside of South Bronx High School, when they opened fire right outside of that school. We'll take it now to Bronx Chief of Detectives Timothy McCormack, who will pick up the story from there.
The gesturing went back and forth. The gentleman on the east side of the street pulls out a firearm and discharges his firearm in the westbound direction.
And caught in the crossfire, a 16-year-old girl now identified this morning as Angellyh Yambo, an honor student at that school, struck in the chest and killed at the scene. Her grief-stricken family raced to Lincoln Hospital, where she was pronounced dead.
And this might be burrito gremlin activity, okay? Because Angellyh Yambo, that sounds, it doesn't sound like she's a sister, all right? So in New York, it's like that, all right? It's like that, and you got to move accordingly. But the thing is, it's really unavoidable. You're walking home from school, you get shot and killed. Tragic.
Of course, those two other teens hit by the gunfire now expected to survive, and all of the teens were unintended targets, simply walking home from school. A motive is not yet known this morning, but as I said, spoke with the two case detectives working this, who said they are moving closer to identifying the suspects responsible for this deadly shooting. Of course, at the school on Monday, we're expecting grief counselors to be on hand for all the students who had to witness what happened there. We are live in Mott Haven, the Bronx. I'm Miles Miller. Today in New York, back to you.
I'm here on the corner of MLK and Frederick Douglass, where a shooting just took place. And as you can see, it's a pretty rough area. So I'm basically risking my life reporting on this madness. So make sure you do me a favor and hit the subscribe button. Like the video, hell, share the video. And make sure you go ahead and leave a comment down in the comments section to continue the discussion on how we can find solutions to all this son violence in the streets. I'm Janquavius Jackson, here live, reporting from Atlanta, Georgia, BGZM News 17.
I'm Maurice Dubois. Christine is off, and tonight police are still searching for a suspect and a motive here. CBS 2's Andrea Grimes live in Melrose tonight. Andrea.
Well, Maurice, this investigation has only just begun, but at this point, sources do not believe that the three teenagers shot were the intended targets. Police are trying to figure out who the target was. The NYPD police commissioner says that the girl who died was a young woman with a bright future. Crime scene investigators worked into the night trying to piece together an afternoon shooting that left a 16-year-old girl dead and two other teens injured. Police say they were walking home from school when shots rang out at the corner of East 156th Street and St. Anne's Avenue in the Melrose section of the Bronx. Felix Quintero lives near the scene.
I see it on TV every day, but to see it with my own eyes, as I stand, I just was in total shock.
He need to watch my channel. He need to come check us out over here at Black Gen Z. Okay? Because if he did, he would know the indicators of demon time. And he would have been able to avoid this traumatic situation.
It happened around 1:45 p.m. down the block from the South Bronx Educational Campus. Police say the suspect and someone on the opposite corner were gesturing back and forth when the suspect pulled out a gun and started firing. This witness did not want to be identified.
I saw the individual coming down the hill. There was three individuals in the corner right there. When I turned on my bike, and I just left. All I heard was 6 gunshots. I saw people running back and forth.
The girl was laying asleep over here, and they tried to give her CPR, but it's crazy.
Investigators say the girl who died was shot in the chest. Another 16-year-old girl was shot in the leg, and a 17-year-old boy was shot in the buttocks. The police commissioner, tasked with reducing an increase in city gun violence, visited the scene for herself.
And she has essentially failed. She's failed. I personally don't think sisters are equipped for this job. I really don't. Pains me to say, but for one, and it's not because she's a woman or a sister. It's just that the mindset is not willing to take the necessary steps in order to apprehend these super gremlins on demon time.
At this point, early in our investigation, it appears that the brazen criminals opened fire during a dispute. What I can say with confidence is that NYPD detectives will work tirelessly to bring those responsible for this to justice.
Mayor Adams tweeted in part, quote, "We lost a 16-year-old baby in the Bronx today. It's unacceptable. It's why we can't abandon our streets to gun violence."
Gun violence, gun violence, gun violence, gun violence. What about these super gremlins on demon time?
It's not even the streets. It's teenagers growing. It's just going out of hand. You know, you can't be safe nowhere.
And police have not yet released the identity of the girl who was killed, and so far no description of the suspect. Reporting live tonight in the Melrose section of the Bronx, Andrea Grimes, CBS 2 News.
Okay, Andrea, thank you.
A teenager has died. 2 others were injured after they were shot when they were just leaving school in the Bronx. This is the 3rd time in just a little more than a week that an innocent bystander has been killed by senseless gun violence in New York City.
Senseless gun violence. Here we go. Can we actually put the onus on the people who are doing this? The gremlins who are doing this? Please.
Eyewitness News reporter Marcus Solis is live in Melrose with more this morning. Good morning, Marcus.
Good morning, Michelle. And that victim, 16-year-old Angellyh Yambo, had just left Bronx Charter Prep Charter School, a high school, when that gunfire broke out just around 1:45. 2 other teens struck by the gunfire as well. Another incident of innocent bystanders victimized by individuals shooting indiscriminately in broad daylight. Now, the 16-year-old girl who was killed was shot in the chest, taken to Lincoln Hospital. 2 other teens struck as well, a 17-year-old boy, 16-year-old girl, both hit in the legs, and both are in stable condition at Lincoln Hospital. They are expected to be okay. Again, police investigating this incident, which they say started as individuals were shouting at each other from across the street.
The gentleman on the east side of the street pulls out a firearm and discharges his firearm in the westbound direction.
After I heard a couple of bangs, I noticed there was a crowd forming outside, and a little while after, the police just started pouring in.
By the time I came back, that my son came, that I saw the little girl, she was already dead.
Again, this all happening in broad daylight. Police continue to search for not only the person who fired that fatal shot, but the intended target as well. Anyone with information is urged to call Crime Stoppers. And we're live in the Melrose section of the Bronx. Marcus Solis, Channel 7, Eyewitness.
Horrific gun violence continues to play out all across the city. We are increasingly seeing young people caught in the crossfire, and that is exactly what the case was yet again here.
And young people are being caught in the crossfire because it's these super teen gremlins on demon time who are doing the shooting. So, of course, there are going to be young people in their wake that they are going to intentionally or unintentionally hit.
At this intersection as these three kids simply just walked home from school. Tragically, one girl never made it home. Police confirmed 16-year-old Angellyh Yambo was shot to death on the sidewalk after she left school yesterday. Detectives have video that shows two men shooting at each other on East 155th Street in the South Bronx. Yambo was a 9th grader at University Prep, but couldn't be saved. Her family told reporters she was a straight-A student with a beautiful soul. Two other students, a 16-year-old girl was shot in the leg and a 17-year-old boy shot in the backside. Both of them survived the traumatic ordeal. They just left separate schools as well. Parents coming to pick up their own children witnessed the unthinkable act of violence officials are now struggling to contain.
When I turned on my bike and I just left, all I heard was 6 gunshots. I saw people running back and forth. When my son came and dropped off here, that I came right back. I made a U-turn, I came back because my son was dropped off here, so I got scared. When I drove on that side, I saw literally the girl on the floor already dead.
They have to crack down on the gun violence. You know, these bullets, they don't discriminate. You know, you got your child coming out of school right here. You know.
Our borough commanders in each borough are deploying their resources appropriately, and will defend the safety of all individuals in New York City.
Well, police say there are no arrests in the case as of this morning. Again, they are looking for 2 people, including one man who's believed to be in his 20s. He was last seen running away from here wearing a gray sweatsuit and a black vest. We're live in the Melrose section of the Bronx. I'm Anthony DiLorenzo.
Gang violence and other kind of violence.
Get away! I could be at work, at school, in my car, and I can still get shot by the police. I can get shot anywhere.
So it is what it is.